Happy Valentine's Month, everybody, and Tony here with my review of Mozart's Die Zauberflöte with conductor Giulio Ciallona, which I saw at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. This marks the 9th time I saw Günther Kramer's production of Mozart's Die Zauberflöte at the Deutsche Oper Berlin because I wanted to see, hear, and witness Artur Garbas performed the role of Papageno. But before I get to his performance, a few words about Myung-Won Kim's performance as the first armed man. I loved his strong, present, and absolutely focused full lyric tenor voice, thus making him an absolute standout in this role, all thanks to his superb musicianship as well as his great clarion tones just pouring right out of his mouth, also making the first armed man quite a memorable listen, all thanks to his exceptional prowess as well as his awesome instrument. Now we get to the main highlight of this review, Artur Garbas as Papageno. I have been admiring everything about this awesome young baritone who has continued to grow from strength to strength. I remembered seeing him barely 2 years ago perform in a minor role from La Traviata, and as I heard him grow and saw every single performance that he was in, I was thoroughly floored in the best possible way, all thanks to his wonderfully round and exceptionally focused lyric/cavalier baritone voice. This is a baritone who has it all, a great core, let alone foundation in his masculine yet flexible cavalier baritone voice, an absolutely burnished timbre that was virile and thoroughly even from bottom to top, as well as a lot of fine comic timing that made his performance as Papageno absolutely unforgettable. When listening to Artur Garbas as Papageno, he almost sounded like a mixture of Giuseppe Taddei, Hermann Prey, and my personal favorite Papageno of all time, Walter Berry, all thanks to how his round, rich, and absolutely burnished instrument was so full of core as well as full of those really grand chest tones that made him thoroughly listenable from beginning to end. And he was not just listenable, he was absolutely fantastic as Papageno. This is a baritone whose voice was resonant, rich, and thoroughly even from beginning to end, and all corners of his voice, thus making him an absolute standout. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for Artur Garbas and his ever-growing repertoire, because his performance as Papageno surely sold it for me because of everything that he was defined by. Amazing musicianship, a thorough evenness from bottom to top that also ensured him that he was going to sing everything so handsomely and with awesome focus and abundant discipline, which made him all the more captivating to witness. Therefore, I have to salute Artur Garbas for a job exceptionally done. He truly was the standout for tonight in terms of his outstanding performance as Papageno. Matthew Newland is certainly no stranger to singing Tamino. He's been singing this role for what feels like a decade and a half, and his voice continues to grow in richness, core, and thoroughness all the way through. He basically did start out in a lot of these light lyric tenor roles, and Tamino was one of those roles that he has been singing throughout his career. And nowadays, he seems to have a go at slightly heavier roles, although I'm still quite hesitant in terms of his recent trajectory. Nevertheless, his performance as Tamino was still as consistent and absolutely handsome as it's always been. This is a gentleman who has been performing Tamino for quite a long time, and his experience in this role shows so magnificently how he was able to understand this character from beginning to end and all of the nuances that he was able to portray with Tamino were in abundant evidence. There was not one vocal flaw that I spotted from Matthew Newland singing Tamino because his core, his use of covered chest tones, and his omnipresent full lyric tenor voice were exceptional assets. I have been seeing Matthew Newland grow from strength to strength, and his performance in one of his signature roles therefore solidifies just how much abundance, strength, and charisma he had as a performing artist. Therefore, I also have to salute Matthew Newland for standing toe-to-toe alongside Artur Garbas as such a consummate singing actor, as well as a gentleman who knew how to use his voice to his advantage, as well as let it ring throughout the theater with elan, excellence, and outstanding quality. Burkhard Ulrich was, as always, a charismatic and charming second priest, all thanks to his trademark character tenor voice, and Chance-Jonas O'Toole's Monostatos continues to be as charming, athletic, and thoroughly engaging, all thanks to how he was able to use that light, silvery, and quite charismatic character tenor voice to make this character work in his favor, complete with nuances and complete with his own unique charm. Patrick Getty also struck again as an imposing, strong, powerful, and thoroughly handsome Sarastro, all thanks to his trademark basso profondo voice, which was able to be as earth-shattering as it has always been. Gerard Ferreras was a consistently resonant second-armed man using his bass baritone / basso cantante voice to bring in a lot of resonance, depth, and thorough virility to this particular character part. Michael Bachtatz's handsome, tall, and virile stage presence made him thoroughly winsome as the speaker of the temple, which was also coupled by his Slavic-sounding dramatic baritone voice, which may not always be appealing to the ear, but his handsome stage presence more than compensates whatever issues listeners would have had with Michael Bachtatze as the speaker of the temple, thus still making him an involving singing actor. And Kyle Miller's handsome, athletic, and thoroughly even cavalier baritone voice was a great asset for the first priest. And he also had, as always, at his disposal, a strong, handsome, and sturdy stage presence. Hye-Young Moon's Queen of the Night grew in agility, coordination, and a great deal of vocal presence, thus being consistent with her sterling technique as she's always been, as well as her thoroughly engaging stage presence, considering that she continued to bring in an icy stature to the Queen of the Night. Lilith Daftian's Pamina grew in coordination, chestiness, and creaminess, all thanks to how she was able to let her chest tones resonate, as well as let her youthful lyric coloratura / light lyric soprano voice radiate throughout the theater, which was so full of silky, silvery tones just pouring out of her mouth every time she opened her mouth to sing. Alexandra Omans continuously demonstrated a silvery, sweet, and thoroughly engaging and absolutely charming lyric coloratura soprano tone that made her performance as Papageno a thoroughly inviting and thoroughly welcoming experience. The three ladies, sung by Elisa Fenda as the third lady, Ariana Manganello as the second lady, and Florina Stucchi as the first lady, were all thoroughly harmonious and gorgeous, all thanks to Elisa Fenda's sufficiently chesty third lady, Ariana Manganello's creamy-toned, gorgeous, and thoroughly even second lady, and Florina Stucki's silvery first lady, and the charming performances accomplished by the members of the children's chorus of the Deutsche Oper Berlin as the three boys was absolutely charming all the way through, all thanks to how they were able to let their treble voices ring with such adorability and charm. Artur Garbas definitely stole the show tonight alongside Matthew Newlin as two sterling singers of Papageno and Tamino respectively. They also led the helm with everything they've got, and this was also thanks to that Slavic tone that Artur Garbas was defined by in making his performance as Papageno work so beautifully. His virile tone that was so full of covered tones, as well as that sheer focus that was defined by his cavalier baritone voice, made Artur Garbas thoroughly win as Papageno, body, mind, soul, and most importantly, voice. He definitely carried the weight of the evening, all thanks to his amazing artistry and his continuously amazing craftsmanship as a wonderful singing actor. There is a brilliant future for Artur Garbas in roles such as Enrico Ashton from Lucia di Lammermoor, Riccardo Fort from I Puritani, Francesco Moore from Verdi's I Masnadieri, and Marco Valdo from La Battaglia di Legnano, just to name a few roles that he could specialize one day in the future. His grand technique that was so full of nobility, virility, and clarity was an absolutely phenomenal experience. Matthew Newlin also joined the helm as a sturdy, strong, and wonderfully phenomenal Tamino, in which he had been embodying one of his signature roles for many years, and the experience that he possessed as Tamino showed with flying colors, as well as a more burnished timbre to his voice, as well as a great deal of core that he continued to demonstrate, also backed up by his excellently sterling technique. I also have to give major props to Patrick Getty, Michael Bachtadze, Kyle Miller, Burkhard Ulrich, Hye-Young Moon, Lilith Daftian, Florina Stucki, Ariana Manganello, Elisa Fenda, the soloists of the children's chorus of the Deutsche Oper Berlin, Alexander Omens, Chance-Jonas O'Toole, Myung-Won Kim, and Gerard Ferreras for absolutely amazing contributions, as well as for making this afternoon for opera absolutely brilliant from beginning to end. The conducting done by Giulio Cillona was brisk, brassy, and absolutely energetic. Sure, there were moments in which some nuance could have been used a lot more, and sure, there could have been moments in which he could have cut back on some of the orchestra loudness, but he at least was able to use some very interesting and absolutely dynamic moments that made the orchestra thoroughly excitable to listen to, as well as ensure that the listeners, let alone the viewers, were not left bored. Therefore, he was able to do his job really well as a conductor, especially when he led the orchestra and the chorus well, and the chorus and the orchestra of the Deutsche Oper Berlin were, as always, absolutely amazing from beginning to end. Artur Garbas was not only the star this afternoon as Papageno, he was able to go beyond the galaxies in the most exciting way possible, and even the best way possible, as a huge comet just shining upon the stage, as well as radiating with awesome charisma, grand musicianship, and an equally sterling technique that made him absolutely brilliant and indubitably outstanding. His vocal flawlessness, as well as his theatrical charisma, made him win as Papageno. There was not one moment where I felt bored. He was thoroughly exciting. He was a brilliant singing actor. He also backed it all up with an awesome technique that made him absolutely rock solid from beginning to end. And his potential as a fine cavalier baritone slash lyric baritone with a great and round, rich voice is absolutely brilliant all the way through. I certainly hope to see him in a lot more performances, hopefully in more leading man roles, because the future is definitely bright for Artur Garbas. His performance as Papageno, which was sterling and absolutely phenomenal, was an absolute evidence as to what he could do, let alone accomplish, as a consummate singing actor. And for those of you who caught Mozart's Die Zauberflöte at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, what'd you think of it? Did you feel that Artur Garbas was able to excel so outstandingly as Papageno? What was your favorite moment with Artur Garbas as Papageno? Did you also feel that there was another singer who stole his thunder, especially when it came to Matthew Newland as Tamino? Or did you feel that Artur Garbas' performance as Papageno was lackluster? Please let me know in the comments below. Well, that's it for my review of Mozart's Die Zauberflöte at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, starring Artur Garbas as Papageno. Tune in tomorrow where I hopefully review Richard Strauss's Elektra at the Staatsoper unter den Linden, starring Evelyn Helitius as Clytemnestra. So until then, happy Valentine's month, everybody!